Okay, so let's start the way I always start, which is, can you tell me how many of my typing sessions you've watched before?
Uh, Not very many recently, but I have been watching you since way back when you were doing videos in Kim's shed.
Wow,
Uh, yeah,
quite a while now.
quite a while. Yeah, I actually found
Um,
you when you were. I was watching C.S. Joseph, and then
uh,
that's right around the time when you started criticizing him. I was like, oh, maybe I'll check this guy out, and uh, couldn't go back.
yeah, well, okay, cool. So you've known about typology for quite a while then,
Yep.
and do you think that you are interested in it more as a intellectual exercise, as a way of understanding other people, or as a way of understanding yourself?
All of the above.
Okay, cool. Um, do you do grocery shopping for yourself?
Yep.
Can you tell me about the last time you went to the grocery store and give me a walkthrough? Like first I went to the salad dressing aisle, then I went to the yeah.
I mean, first off, I work at Costco, so like, but okay. Last time I went shopping, let's go to uh I'm gonna go for it. Right. The last time I went to some other store, I walked in, I needed to buy like peanut butter and mayonnaise. And so I walked in and I looked down the aisles and I found the condiment aisle and I grabbed the mayonnaise and peanut butter and I went and bought it and left.
You needed to buy mayonnaise and peanut butter?
We were out.
Okay. Hopefully
That's
you
it.
don't use those things on the same sandwich.
You don't?
No. Okay. Uh, can you talk to me about your sleep habits? Uh, do you nap during the day? Do you get a full night's sleep every night? How many hours of sleep do you need a night, etc.?
I wake up at 2 in the morning. I have a bedtime at around 6. But I very rarely actually meet my bedtime. Um,
Is that because of your work schedule?
yeah, so I'm morning stalker at Costco.
Okay.
So I get there at 4 in the morning. Um, yeah,
How do you like that schedule?
I don't mind it. I thought I would hate it, but it's consistent. Like I get Tuesday, Wednesday off every week, and so as long as there's that consistent schedule, it's easy to just get into. Of course, I can't go out and do things. I've got to, you know, if I have a family event on a Saturday or something, I've got to go home by 5:30. So that's
Right.
downside.
Are you kind of a homebody anyway?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So if you don't get to sleep by 6 o'clock and you get, say, only 6 hours of sleep instead of eight, how much does that affect you?
It's definitely harder to get out of bed, but once you get caffeine in you, it's you know,
And then at work, um, do you have to do a lot of lifting and stuff?
yeah.
Is that hard on you physically? Do you feel aches and pains from that?
We have my roommate's a personal trainer, so I've got access to his equipment. So I work out 3 times a week, and so it's actually whatever.
Okay. Are you very attentive when you're at work to, for example, I have a bad habit of if I have to lift something and it's over there, I'll go like this and try to lift it up rather than walk over there and lift it up. Yeah. Are you attentive to stuff like that?
Am I aware of like the proper way to? So in terms of just like, I know I don't lift as properly as I should. Um, but would I do things? So what's the question exactly?
How much are you conscious of how you're doing stuff, like to take care of your body long term while you're doing it?
Not as conscious as I should be.
Okay. What's your relationship with procrastination?
I do it quite often, but I'm also, it's an ongoing struggle, I should say.
Do you find that it's only a struggle when you're not at work?
For the most part, there are times when there's like something that I need to do and I'm like, I don't quite know how to do it. So I'll like just kind of push it aside. I'll work on this other thing. And I'm just kind of hoping some idea pops into my head about how to deal with that thing.
Right. Okay. Um, did you do any extra schooling beyond high school?
Yeah, I went to university for professional writing and psychology.
And you ended up working at Costco.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. That's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. Nobody wants any artists anymore, I tell you.
Mm,
Okay. So what was did you graduate from college?
yeah. So I got a diploma in professional writing, then a full degree in psychology.
And did you try to find work in that field first and then you settled on a Costco, or you just say, I don't know, just fuck it, I just want a job?
It was kind of little bit like I kind of tried for things here and there, but I was not in the mental emotional state to really do anything about it. So I had to work on a few, mental issues that I had, and then Costco was there. I applied to it and I got it. For the longest time, I had a foot in the door, but at this point, I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's a secure job. People like me here. I'm just gonna stay.
Yeah. Well, there's something very much beneficial about jobs where you don't have a lot of decision making, you know?
Mm,
I used to have jobs where I had a lot of decision making, but my favorite job of all time probably was working at the deli.
fair.
Okay, so what's precious or important to you?
Precious or important to me? Uh, my mind, maybe.
What do you do with your mind? Do you write?
So I try to write. I try to write more. I went on a long period where I had a lot of writer's block and I just could not write. But I try to go out to the library to do a bit of writing multiple times a week at this point.
What kind of writing do you do? Are you doing fiction, nonfiction, philosophy? What?
Uh, Probably philosophy, nonfiction philosophy, probably. And then I'm also reading a book, trying to study it. I didn't do like I wasn't a very good student, and so I kind of am trying to study things on my own time to kind of like I don't know redeem myself in that regard. I'm studying a book on like self sabotage right now, and just writing out all the qualities of it and uh, trying to I don't know stop self sabotaging really.
Explain to me what self-sabotaging is. I want to know more about this.
Oh, it's
I'm
fair.
not sure. Go ahead.
It's I mean just the various ways that you might kind of get in the way of your own life. One of the big ones for me is justifications, where it's just like coming up with random excuses for why you can't actually do things. Another one that comes to mind is called uprooting, and it's just like you get doing one thing, and then rather than sticking with it, you move on to something else. And
Sounds to
Uh,
me like you internalized and accepted the idea that doing stuff is inherently of value.
Probably that I
I'm
should do
not a big
more of it.
fan of doing stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, am I self-sabotaging? Am I being lazy? Or am I really just living the dream?
Well, it depends on if you want to do something, right? If you want
Well,
to do something and you're not, that's the issue.
is that the thing with you? That you want to do things that you're not doing?
Yeah.
What things do you want to do besides writing? Or is that the main thing?
That is, I want to get better at getting my mind out. I'm not very upfront about what I think.
You've got things to say that are not being said adequately.
That's right.
Okay. What area of thing, like, if you have a message for the universe, for the world, what is your message? Or give me some chunks of message that you might lay ownership to.
It's a very hard question for me to ask, being that it's the thing that I struggle to do, right? Um,
I mean, is it a message to people about how to be human? Is it a
yeah, I guess
message?
so. It's like a how to be human, how to think properly, how to approach a world where there's a surplus of ideas and a deficit of understanding the what one is the right one to pick. Deficit of
Okay.
truth, I should say.
So, do you think that subjectivity is a problem that's core to this?
Say it again.
Do you think that a core issue here is people being engaging in, engaging with subjectivities rather than objectivities?
It's more also just not knowing how to properly frame things and
Okay.
like getting confused about what the right way to frame things is
I
and how to
mean,
go about it.
do you think that I think that consciously framing things is very much an attentional habit rather than something a skill set one learns.
True enough.
But regardless, we're not here to have interesting conversations about that.
No nonsense.
How do you go, cat? Okay. I sent the cat outside and I started a pot of coffee. So we accomplished a lot during that stretch of the typing session. Okay, I've got some pretty good, sort of intuitive uh, inclinations regarding your type, but let me do some skills tests and see if we can't confirm or upend those notions. Okay, if some trees bear acorns and all things that bear acorns are Native Americans, is it necessarily the case that some trees are Native Americans?
No.
Yes, it is.
Ah, fuck.
Okay. If only cats say meow and I'm a cat, do I necessarily say meow?
You're a cat. If only cats say meow, and you're a cat. No?
Correct.
All right. Cool.
If all penguins eat fish and I eat fish, am I necessarily a penguin?
No.
Correct. Can you tell me who my mother's husband is in relationship to me?
Grandfather.
Correct. Okay. Um, if Let me try a couple of easy questions. Can you break down the task of uh well let's do getting groceries into exactly 5 steps?
Okay. I'm going to uh, grab my keys, get in the car, go to the grocery store, grab the groceries, and buy them.
Okay, excellent. That was 5 steps. Uh you're currently confusing me a little bit. Okay. Would you if there's a problem that you don't know how to solve,
Okay.
are you likely to wait until you figure it out or ask somebody else?
Wait until I figure it out.
Okay. And do you think you understand why that is the case? Like, can you express as to why you do that in terms of what the benefits are and the harms are?
Um, benefits are just like the sensation of being right, of figuring out for myself, and the harms are uh discomfort with like just asking for help.
Okay. And are you uncomfortable with that because you think people are going to perceive you as incompetent? Or are you uncomfortable with that because you don't really trust other people to correctly explain it or
People are
have
going to
the answer?
perceive me as being incompetent.
Okay. Do you think that people are more likely to perceive you as warm or competent?
Warm.
Okay. Do you perceive yourself as warm?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think it means to be warm?
Engaged? I mean, like, um, friendly,
Okay.
open to, I don't know, social interaction, I guess.
Okay. I'm going to. Do you think you? Well, let me ask this. Do you believe yourself to be more an adherent to the golden rule or to the platinum rule? Do you
What's the
treat others
platinum?
as the platinum rule is treating others as they want to be treated. The golden rule is treating others as you want to be treated.
Uh, I believe more in the platinum rule than the golden rule.
Okay. So do you think that the platinum rule means that you are paying more attention to what each individual specifically wants rather than what people want in general?
I mean, it would depend on the person, but how would I apply it?
I mean, the difference is being saying in general, like, that doesn't seem like a good idea. People don't like that
hmm,
versus that might be a good idea normally, but not here. He doesn't like that.
yeah, I get you. I understand. Um, I say the more specific one, the that
Okay.
he wouldn't. Yeah.
All right. Now I gotta tell you the beginning part of the story, and I want you to finish the story for me. Okay.
Okay.
So, once upon a time, there was a duck, a chicken, and a dog. And the dog was barking at the chicken. And the duck said, hey, what are you doing? Why are you barking at this chicken? The chicken's not doing anything to you. And the dog says, stay out of this, you, and continues barking at the chicken. Now you finish the story.
So the duck, seeing that the dog wasn't gonna, listen to reason or listen to his protesting, uh, started nipping at the dog's feet, and the dog was just like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I'm trying to bark at this chicken, and you're nipping at my feet." And so then the dog starts to bark at the duck, but he totally forgets about the chicken. The chicken, seeing that the dog is preoccupied, gets away, and the duck then is like, "Whoa, hey dog, look, where's the chicken?" And the dog's like, "Oh, oh, where is the chicken?" And then dog was, concerned about the chicken being missing. Duck got away. The end.
And then the dog just like, wah, 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 wah. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you about a new invention I've come up with. I'd like you to come up with some snappy marketing names for it, okay? My new invention, it's a leaf vacuum that mulches the leaves after it goes into the vacuum and spits them out the back as ground up mush.
Ground up mush. The monkey mulcher.
Good one.
The leaf-based paste.
Very good.
The beefy leafy blower.
Good. That's fine. That's plenty. What's interesting to note, of course, is that what I'm paying attention to is not just the ability to come up with multiple, but more significantly, like the difference between them. So, one time asked an ISTP this question, and it was for a frozen dinner that came with a fork inside of it. He called it fork with food. And then I said, "Can you come up with any other names?" He said, FWF. Anyway, so we can eliminate a lot of polars here so far. I think we can definitely eliminate any polar, TI polar, TE polar. So can you say the following sentence to me first normally and then sarcastically? And the sentence is, "Oh, wonderful, you got me a log for my birthday."
Oh, wonderful. You got me a log for my birthday. Oh, wonderful. You got me a log for my birthday.
Okay. I'm going to give you a long sentence with a lot of redundancies in it, and then I'm going to ask you to give me the short nutshell version of the sentence. Here's the long sentence. If you enjoy different kinds of rocks and minerals and like to go out into the woods and find the special kinds of minerals with the different colors and different kinds of crystals and stuff, things like geodes and quartz and pyrite and agate and other exciting rocks and minerals like that, then perhaps you should pursue a career in the field of gemology, which studies those sorts of things and collects them to show people the different kinds of rocks and minerals there are in the world.
You seem like someone who'd want to be a gemologist. Is that what you said?
Gemologist, yeah. It's somebody.
Geologist, yeah.
Gemologist.
Gemologist.
People,
oh.
People who collect different kinds of rocks, basically. Okay. That was fairly well nutshelled. Perhaps the ideal nutshell would be, if you like rocks, become a gemologist. But Okay. Do you have any creative expressions besides writing? Like, do you play music? Do you paint or draw?
Um, not as like hobbies per se, but like every once in a while I'll do something. Um, well, actually, one I kind of like to plan like events. And just like I had a friend who she went to school for fine art. And so I planned an event with a few people where she came and she taught us how to do like landscape painting, as is right here.
That
Um,
sounds fun.
Another time, I volunteered at the food bank. I'm in a men's group, and I organized an event where we all just went to the food bank and did a bit of volunteering there. Yeah, so just like planning, seeing what the need is, and like planning some sort of activity to do with a bunch of people, I guess. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if that helps you in your typing, but
I'm not sure it does or not. Okay. Uh, so presumably you watch some amount of YouTube.
yeah.
Besides typology stuff, what do you watch? What kind of videos do you like to watch on YouTube?
Psychology stuff on self-improvement, on attachment styles, politics.
Attachment styles, huh?
Yeah.
So is it because you think that it's interesting in general? Is it because you think it applies to you yourself? Or tell me more about your interest in attachment styles.
I mean, yeah, it is an interest of mine. I did go to school for psychology, but it is also very relevant to understanding my own patterns in relationships and all that, and especially, yeah, working through
Yeah,
my own
well,
personal trauma and all that. Yeah.
aren't we all, you know?
Yep.
Seems like almost nobody starts off with having a perfectly healthy relationship and it they go forward based on those assumptions. It's always the opposite.
Yep. Yep.
Uh so do you think there's solvency to be had in explaining this stuff to people?
Do I think it'll solve problems?
Do you think that the right explanation would resolve anything?
I have this tendency to believe that if people just had the right information, they'd figure it out for themselves. Not that that's necessarily true, but it's kind of like a implicit assumption I have.
Okay. Do you find that works out that way with yourself? That the more you understand things, the less they have negative impacts?
Yeah, if I have a saying of if you understand a problem, it'll lead to a solution.
Okay. Um, so do you envision yourself writing a book then that helps people overcome attachment issues?
Not specifically attachment issues are definitely more for me than they are. They're interesting. I think I use it to like if I was with friends or in a relationship with someone, I'd be like, hey, these are some very relevant videos to you that you might find a lot of help from.
I see. Do you have a long-term goal for yourself? Like, do you see yourself in a specific different situation in 10 years than today or something like that?
Not really. I don't really have a specific goal. I have like habits that I'd like to cultivate, like exercise, basic decent eating, um, and going out and writing, and it's. But I just assume that if I do those things, good things will happen.
I see. Um, do you feel like you're on the right path, making progress?
More and more. Yeah.
Okay. Um, how do you feel emotionally right now?
Nervous.
How do you feel physically right now?
Just relaxed.
Feel relaxed, you said?
Yeah, relaxed. Oddly.
Okay.
Nervous, but also relaxed.
Right. Well, physical subjectivities and emotional subjectivities don't necessarily run parallel to one another.
True enough.
Um, okay. Uh, how much clarity do you think you have about your own emotions normally?
Not very good.
Okay.
It's just a royal.
Do you feel as though when other people are expressing their subjectivities, you understand those well?
Probably. Yeah.
So if someone's upset and they're saying some stuff that maybe doesn't make a lot of sense, are you going to say, oh, the reason they're not making sense is because they're upset? Or are you going to say, you need to stop being upset because you're not making any sense?
The former.
Okay, so you're more understanding.
Hmm.
All right. Do you think your own emotional subjectivities impact your ability to be correct?
Yes.
Can you think of any examples?
No. Um,
Then why do you think that?
uh, well, I mean, like, if it's for certain emotions, emotional states, I can't even like freaking articulate what I'm thinking. Um, but like, there are times when I've, uh, you know, said something and then later was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have. I don't even actually feel like that. Um,
So you're
but
saying that you might inaccurately report your feelings?
I, yeah, or like maybe it's just a different being in a different emotional state when I look back at it. I don't know.
Because
Yeah.
this is how I think about my subjectivities. Um, maybe you will relate to this or not, but that no, my subjectivities never interfere with my ability to be correct, except insofar as they interfere with my willingness to find out things. So,
Mm,
like, I like
okay.
this band Cake. I like this band Cake, and I saw this video talking shit about the lead singer being an asshole or something. That's
Mm.
what I think the video is about. But I don't want to watch it because I don't want to find out that information about him. So in that regard, my subjectivities are impacting my ability to be correct about something, but it's because I don't want to be correct about it. I know that, you know.
Fair. Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't even answer the question properly there. I don't know.
Okay. Well, um, I'm gonna I'm gonna tell you what I think you are now, and we can continue for the next. And we've obviously got time. You can direct the conversation however you want from this point. But I think you're an INTP.
Okay.
Can you tell me what you thought you were coming in?
Well, I knew that I had which the overall strength of my perceiving functions, that is NI or N something, it was high. And I knew that my which judging functions were conscious or unconscious, right? So I knew I was TI, FE, and high extrovert intuition. Yeah.
Okay, because the thing is, we can eliminate ISFJ or INFJ. You're not TE polar.
Hmm.
We can obviously eliminate ESFP and ENFP. You're not TI polar.
Yeah.
We can eliminate NE polar. You're not ISTP. You're not the other NE polar, ISFP. The thing is, you seem very unconscious about your FI, even more unconscious than me about mine, which is consistent with 8th slot. I think 8th slot's the most unconscious function. And also you seem to have a very complicated, ideated out relationship with extroverted sensing.
Right.
Like, it's an absolute value. You treat it as such, but you seem to almost identify as having an executive function disorder.
Fair.
So what how would you like to where would you like to go from here?
It's kind of what I thought. Okay, so like, yeah, I'm fine with that. We can't. Oh, good.
I could let me give you some options of things I could do. I could try to confirm this with values questions to see what you consciously understand more as an absolute or instrumental value. Or I could give you my enneagram test as another thing I could do, which is to see what your enneagram tri-type is. Or I could answer any questions you have about either why I think you're the type or about the type in general, or something else.
So one thing, let's go with why you think I'm the type.
Okay, well, mostly it's because you're clearly high up extroverted intuition, and I sense a general countervaluing of introverted intuition. But I don't think you're an INFP, because even though some of your responses, when asked directly like about your values, you indicate things that might be consistent with higher up F, when actually asked to understand your own feelings, you're consistently at a loss. When I asked you what's precious to you, you just sat there in silence for a long time before you said your mind. Somebody with conscious FI, or more conscious than 8th anyway, is probably going to say something like their loved ones. You know? So, I mean, sure, like, being basically what you're saying is what's emotionally precious to you is being able to be detached in your thinking. Which I don't know if that really qualifies as being emotionally precious. But additionally, you know, you did fine on the TI test. I didn't extensively test the TI as much as I could have, but it's because once I've determined that you're not polar and you're not like 4th or something, then I can't really get any more information out of it. It's not necessarily reliable for anything other than what it's designed for, which is to eliminate a couple of types, right?
Right.
So your TE is very good, and that's consistent with 5th slot. And your prioritization of doing stuff, outcomes, that kind of stuff, is consistent with 5th and 7th slot, respectively, TE and SE. So I don't know. You seem like my quadra as well. I'm using my intuition a little bit more here than maybe I would in other types, but you also don't seem like an extrovert at all. I know ENTPs can sometimes seem like INTPs when I type them, but with you, I'm not concerned you might be an ENTP. You just don't have that vibe. I don't know.
Okay. So one of the reasons that I stopped watching you way back when, I tried to come up with an explanation. Like I try to explain your system in my own words, essentially, and I ended up coming up with slightly different definitions to a point where I think of I have my own system heavily based on yours.
But consistent with INTP as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I know. I'd kind of like to read some of that to you if that's possible, if you're interested in
Sure,
that.
go for it. Absolutely.
So I'll just read the intro to it. I don't know if I'll go into the definitions exactly, but here. So yeah, this is probably what I would do for if I were doing like an intro video or something like that. But Jungian typology and its necessary truth. The important thing to realize is that the functionality as described through the aptly named cognitive functions is nothing new to philosophy or science. Many of the functions are thoroughly codified and defined through existing academic and philosophical endeavors. The revolutionary notion Jung and the subsequent typology systems posit is that the strengths and interactions of these functions vary across individuals in a patterned way that leads to distinct types of people. In fact, I'm so certain that distinct types will emerge from the testing generated from these definitions and the analysis thereof. I find it needless to write about any of the inevitable 16 that will emerge.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Um,
But, I mean, that's very, very NTP, right?
it's fair. I've got a lot more here, but not enough here.
I also don't like to do type descriptions because I think it's missing the point.
Yeah.
It's like the point is to understand how these habits of attention necessarily, conscribe the other possible ways of paying attention in predictable ways. That really cognitive functions is about what you can't do.
Yeah. So I have one section here that says, the problem with existing methods of deciphering personality type is that they use a Likert scale that requires participants to have some existing level of self-knowledge. This can lead to unreliable test results as people's understanding of themselves fluctuates over time. Some individuals may be writing the test with a false sense of self that skews results. The other problem with existing typology tests is that they can be gamed to get a certain type once a person has a basic understanding of typological system. Even if a person is trying to be objective, just knowing what type they expect can bias their responses toward getting that type.
Well, that's true. But additionally, you've got types that are using as a tool function what they want, not anything else. So if you got ESFP, ENFP doing type self-reporting, they're going to report what they want themselves to be, not what they are.
Yeah. I've experienced that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really difficult to type people unless you have some kind of engagement like this. At least with skills tests, you can eliminate certain things definitively.
Yeah.
But it's still unavoidably, unfortunately, as much art as science.
Yeah. True enough.
I wish I had polar tests for everything, but I only have some that are I don't have a good polar test for SE that I can definitively say you're definitely not SE polar.
Right. Is that potentially something with your definition being not quite right?
I mean, my definition of it is simply being related to the execution of something, right? Like
Hmm.
the extroverted intuition comes up with ideas. Extroverted sensing executes a specific idea. That's why it's paired with introverted intuition, which distills things down to a singular path, right?
Hmm.
So, the fact that I can't test for extroverted sensing doesn't mean it couldn't be tested for. It just means that a test for it in a video conference format is impossible. For example, I could potentially give such a test as follows. Here's a list of purposeless little tasks. As soon as you complete it, I'll give you $100, but you can take as long as you want to complete it.
Hmm.
That would be a good SE test, potentially. I don't know if it would actually work, but it seems like a good potential test. But obviously, I can't do that in this context.
I kind of wonder, so I have a slightly different definition of SD than you here, and any, of course. And extroverted intuition is basically just working across data sets, working across frames. That's what extroverted intuition does. Whereas extroverted sensing is working within a single data set. So they get tunnel visioned on their thing. And when you only have one frame in mind, it's really easy to execute from there. Whereas if you're working from multiple data sets and you don't have that one frame cognitive function, you're going to have a really hard time following through on any given one.
Okay, well, I think those aren't operationalized definitions.
Okay.
So it's like, you think about it in terms of what's happening with information. Are you
Mhm.
putting it? Are you getting it? Are you receiving it? Extroverted intuition and extroverted sensing are both putting functions.
Mhm.
So it's like to understand functions, you gotta also understand fields where where attention is being paid and in what directionality it's being paid. So it's like if I'm receiving information from an external field, it could be an external metaphysical field that is, say, language or communication information, or an external physical field, we should say experiential information. Either way, the attentional manner relates to the field, the individual, and the directionality.
Okay. Hmm.
So yeah, that's how I think about it. You and I obviously think about it differently, and that's
Yeah.
fine. I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
not here to argue with you about cognitive functions.
That's fair. Nah, it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. So, or not the arguing part, but like just voice it. So, thank you for the opportunity.
Sure, and if you'd like to read more, please do. I'm enjoying listening to it. I think it's interesting to see that, you know, it's such it's an area where people can do a lot of intellectual work
Yeah.
of varying degrees of uh, legitimacy and success, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the next section is hypotheses, claims, and expectations. The main claim is that cognitive functions can be tested through skills tests, and the relative correlative strengths of functions in individuals will manifest as types that are consistent across scales of human organization. The second claim is admittedly a bit bold, as these functions encompass all of human cognition. They will remain consistent as defined across all genders, ethnicities, and language, emphasis on language, as language plays a critical role in how we process, perceive, and experience the world. Since cognitive functions are the base for how we process information, language can only modify how the function manifests. Uh, the last claim derives from my own. I've got a theoretical framework for like a methodology for theorizing, and part of that is assumption 2.4. Well, I'll just keep reading, I guess. So derives from A 2.4 that as this is proposed to be the definitive cognitive function model, it can be used to break down other cognitive function models into the constituent parts thusly proposed, and by that extent can analyze itself without breaking consistency or reducing further. To clarify, what the fuck? Oh, it must have been explained earlier. Right, here we go. So yeah, 824 is any good theory should not only explain the phenomenon, but should also explain why its predecessors work as well as they do, yet fail to explain everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that cardinal functions is the meta frame because it can be informative about every other frame in the sense that while the information it provides might be negligible, which is to say, it might not be relevant to solving a given matter within the frame that is informative about. It nevertheless is informative about it because every frame comes from an individual first. So
yeah.
So that's you're right on the money with your first claim there about the skills test and about the general notion that cardinal functions provides the meta frame and the only meta frame.
Cool. Since this model will encompass all of human thought, it is not just a tool for understanding personality, but also a way to understand the ways in which we have applied it through human history. We already kind of do this, but in less refined ways. Simply put, you can break down anything into a combination of some or all of these 8 functions. That's not to say that these functions accurately represent reality, but that these functions accurately represent our understanding of reality. One way to think of this is pixels on the screen. All light-emitting color screens use red, green, and blue pixels, yet it's not possible to notice these basic elements until you zoom in on them.
Yeah. And it's interesting that, like, as a debate coach, it's also the case that any given argumentation that occurs, that it will necessarily either implicitly or explicitly be appealing to a value that links to one of 8 functions, which is comprehensive of all possible argumentational values.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy that turned out to be the case, right? It's further verification that it's correct.
Yeah.
So you and I are both evangelizing the same cause here. I just kind of given up on evangelizing it because, of course, when you try to evangelize it, you determine that whomever you're talking to has some alternate understanding of the terms than you do. It's not like when I'm talking about debate, when I say, oh, well, if you make that argument, it'd be a counter plan and it wouldn't be exclusive, so the opponent would be able to permute it. Nobody disagrees with me or questions it because everybody in debate means the same things when they use those words,
Right. Yeah.
But with cognitive functions, which is, it's inclusive of debate and therefore more important, but people don't use words to mean the same thing at all. So it's impossible to talk about. Yeah. Anything else?
I think that's everything. Yeah. INTP.
All right.
Cool. I'll take it.
Cool. Would you prefer that I share this with you privately, or are you comfortable with me publish it?
You can publish it.
All right. Thanks.
Yep.
So this will go up later this evening, probably, and I'll put it at premiere a couple hours before it premieres.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much. Have a